Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Please be seated, and I trust while you've been waiting, you've had an opportunity to look at this week's First Nations art and read our acknowledgement to our First Nation friends and neighbors. And tonight, I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda. Councillor Watt?
Yes. I'd like to recommend that the October 7, 2024 regular council meeting agenda be approved as circulated.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All discussion, question, all in favor, contrary carried. And we are honored tonight to have two members of our Royal Canadian Legion to make a presentation. And gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Okay, well, good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. I am familiar with a few of you here, having enjoyed the same kind of position in North Vancouver District. In fact, Ron and I, who's the president, are both from Lynn Valley, but we've chosen to be members of the Legion here in West Van because of our allegiances and affiliates with members there. We just would like to come here to introduce...
We would like to thank you for coming over and gracing us. And for those of you who don't know, Mr. Hicks here was a very esteemed member of the District of North Van Council for many years.
Just watch the clock.
We haven't started the clock, but we're going to start. Let's give them a fresh start.
Okay, so Ron Beasley here is our newly elected president this year. He's a retired civil engineer, very knowledgeable about municipal infrastructure, and he's been working his backside off over the last year to try and remedy some of our infrastructure problems at the branch, in which I've kind of briefed some of you with some emails that I've sent to you. So we just want to talk about our current operations and our current challenges, and hopefully you'll come and visit us at the branch whenever you can. Ron?
Some of us have even joined.
Well, I can take checks tonight if you like. $75.
Yeah. I'd like to touch on a couple of things. One challenge that the branch has, and maybe I should just first speak a little bit to the history. We do have a website, and this is just a brief part of the history, that the Legion has a long connection with West Van. It goes back to 1919 when the branch was formed, and then in 1926 we received our charter, and they had 15 members. And over the years, as it grew, they acquired their own premises, and the district made a tax sale land available, and construction was started on a Legion Hall. And so that is our connection, is that we're actually on land that was donated by West Vancouver. And of course you have the Memorial Library that's reflected with the Legion, and the Memorial Arch, and we do the Remembrance Day parade with the district, some of the district firemen and police. And right now I have a meeting tomorrow with your representatives to coordinate what happens on Remembrance Day, because it does get a little bit busy. One of the things I would like to mention that often gets lost today is people think, well, the Legion's an old-fashioned place. But the Legion is there for remembrance, and our remembrance period is one of the key things that we're there for. It starts when the first poppy is presented in Ottawa, and that's the last Friday of October, and it ends at 11:11 on, in other words, 11 a.m. on November the 11th, which was when the armistice was signed for World War I. And so, in terms of remembering the fallen, I just quickly Googled World War II, and World War II comes up as the most violent military conflict in human history. Battle deaths were 15 to 20 million, and civilian deaths were 40 million. And those are big numbers, and I think today often people think, oh, well, we won that one. Well, it was not easily won, and a huge number of lives were lost. And we need to honor those people because we owe them the freedom that we enjoy in Canada today. We're not living in Russia or China under some horrible dictatorship. That's what the whole war was against, was dictatorships. And so in the Legion, we honour those people, and then we also honour the veterans, and any money that we collect from the Poppy Fund, which is about $80,000 to $100,000 a year, we can't touch that, and that is all given out within the community to veterans and veterans housing and things that help veterans, and that is where we are focused. And so I believe we are an important part of the community. We serve a purpose. We're getting smaller. We have fewer members. We have challenges, and so one challenge for our branch in particular is Lawson Creek, that we sit adjacent to Lawson Creek. And Lawson Creek last flooded our branch 10 years ago. And unfortunately, the branch sits in a low point where the creek overflows before it goes down 18th Street. And so we get about 3 to 4 feet of water. And we can't get insurance. Anywhere that floods, you can't get flood insurance. And so that's been a real challenge. And some of the flooding issues have been issues with debris building up in the entrance to the culvert. And over the years, we try to keep the district works department to monitor the creeks. The province sends out notices these days when we have a major rain event, an atmospheric river, as they call it. And that's when your creeks come up, and also if there's already snow on the ground, so we get extra water because we get snow melt and rain at the same time. And so that's one of the things we will be doing, is keeping in touch with the district engineering department, because people come and go. My understanding is there are only 2 creeks that overflow on a regular basis these days in West Van, and Lawson is one of them. So I'll pass the next 5 minutes back to Robin.
Okay, just very quickly, we have 2 main operating components. One is to raise money for veterans and other social causes through our gaming, bingos, raffles, etc. And we've been very successful on an annual basis, raising up to $100,000 a year, which is funneled throughout the community to various causes, cadets, social clubs, etc. But we also operate a social barge lounge to support the fundraising as a meeting point and an organizing point for everything we do. But we've suffered financially over the last 4 or 5 years for both specific issues and more general issues. And I've outlined some of those to you in the correspondence I sent before, but specifically COVID had a huge impact with declining revenues, and we still had to meet standing costs such as utilities, repairs, and salaries. We now have to contend with a significant debt repayment situation. We borrowed under the federal program and borrowed $60,000, and we repaid $40,000, so we got $20,000, but we still owe that money in effect, that we had to borrow it to repay it. We're operating just above a break-even situation, but we're vulnerable to emergency repairs on an aging building and the pipes and plumbing and underground issues. But this year, 2024, we have a new executive, and we're addressing legacy issues that Ron's talked about to some extent, and we're trying to introduce new programs to encourage more memberships and attendance. What we consider to be a little gem in our community, which is a little bar with an outside patio, and I don't know how many of you have been there, but it's a very social little organization, like a little English pub, and it can be rented out. So we encourage all council members, friends, even all staff at West Vancouver to come and visit us. Anybody can come in, everybody's welcome. Although it's a members club, we can introduce and sign members in. So our main thrust now is to encourage and try and increase our membership, because the old veterans to some extent are leaving this world, and we need an influx of new people who support our aims and objectives, and that's a really challenging situation to try and establish a a membership amongst younger people. We're trying to do that through dances and socials, etc. But we need much more attendance to start bringing in more money. So that's all I've got to say. And if you want to know more, please ask us any questions here or come and visit us at the branch. Thank you.
Gentlemen, thanks very much. And I just have to reflect for a moment. You might enjoy this. With regards to the creek flooding next to you,
Right.
one of a very good citizen in our community who owns property near you has established a camera that looks down on that culvert. And anytime it gets a little bit full, he's got my personal cell number and he's very quick to call to make sure it gets attention. So it's on the top of my mind frequently in the heavy rains.
Okay.
And gentlemen, I think all the members of council have enjoyed coming to the Legion, and we would certainly encourage other members of the community. Councillor Cassidy, please.
I just want to thank you very much for your presentation. I've enjoyed your facilities on many occasions. It is a wonderful, wonderful place to go to feel that you're part of a community. So the spirit that you raise there is terrific. Your meat draws, your trivia nights, those are the two up ones, the plus ones. And the last time I was there, I met a gentleman who, out of his own funds, I understand, was the individual who painted the lines in your new lines in your parking lot.
Graham.
Yes.
Correct. Graham
Yes.
McIntosh.
So, as I said, you do a wonderful thing, for lack of a better word, for this community. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Thompson, could I ask you to make a motion to thank the gentleman?
Yes, I'd love to. And I just wanted to say it was great to hear your presentation. It sounds like you've got some new energy and motivation behind the Legion. So I'm really excited to see what you're going to do with it. You said, you think you're an important part of our community and have purpose. And I will tell you, I think we all around this horseshoe agree that you're a very important part of our community and you have a tremendous purpose. We all value you. And we're looking forward to being with you on November 11th. So with that, I'd like to recommend that the delegation from the Royal Canadian Legion, West Vancouver Branch 60, regarding profile of the Royal Canadian Legion be received for information with thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Snyder, seconded. Discussion. We'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Gentlemen, again, thanks very much, and we will be seeing you soon.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. We'll move to item number 4, proposed rezoning bylaw, and I think we may have a brief presentation from Ms. McGuire.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. I do have a brief presentation. We will be also providing a presentation if Council sets the date at public hearing as well, just
Thank you.
as a note. Just pull it up here. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So for consideration tonight is a proposed development project for 2905 Marine Drive, proposing a 5-unit townhouse project. You can see on screen an aerial image of the proposal, or sorry, rather a rendering of the proposal. Here you can see a map of the site and the surrounding area. The site's shown outlined in pink there. It's located at the northwest corner of Marine Drive and 29th Street. The site size is just over 13,000 square feet. It's currently zoned RS2. And you can see on the map there that the site does have very convenient access to bus service in the area, with a westbound bus service located directly in front of the site, and then eastbound bus service on the other side of Marine Drive there. This just shows an aerial image of the site and the surrounding area, demonstrating that you can see the existing mature trees on the site and within the immediate area. The site is within the Altamont neighborhood and is located directly across the street from West Vancouver Presbyterian Church and kitty corner from the 29th Street tennis courts. Council did consider a previous development proposal for this site, and the renderings that you can see on the screen there are images shown from the previous proposal. There is a more detailed comparison in the staff report comparing the previous proposal with this current proposal for Council's consideration. But some of the key similarities and differences include similar siting, access, and circulation for both proposals. In terms of the number of units, the previous proposal included 8 townhouse units, whereas the current proposal is for 5 units. In both cases, there was underground parking proposed with access on 29th Street. In terms of the number of parking stalls, there is a slight change. Previously, there was 10 parking vehicle stalls, and under the current proposal, there's 9. And then in terms of the floor area ratio, or FAR, the previous proposal was just under 1 FAR, with just over 13,000 square feet in floor area, whereas the current proposal is at 0.9 FAR with just over 12,000 square feet in floor area. And then finally, in terms of site coverage, the previous proposal was approximately 42%, whereas the current proposal is 40%. So here you can see 2 renderings of the current proposal, and you can see in these images the design and with the stone cladding and heavy timbers that are used, and a mix of sloped and flat roof structures. Each unit does include ground level entry area, as well as elevators for each of the units that would provide access within the unit itself and to the underground parking. As well, the bicycle storage for the site exceeds the minimums required under the bylaw. For the edges of the site, there is extensive perimeter landscaping proposed, and you can see that here on the landscape plan provided in the application. One thing to note is that there is an existing mature cedar tree on the western portion of the site that's proposed for retention, and along with that, there's an outdoor private amenity area that would provide for seating and amenity space for residents within the development. As well, as you can see on the landscape plan, there is extensive perimeter landscaping proposed to be installed. And with that, around the edge of the site, within the district property, there's also new sidewalks and boulevard planting proposed for the Marine Drive and 29th Street frontages. This slide shows a privacy and view analysis, or a summary of what the applicant provided, specifically focusing on the neighbor to the north in terms of any privacy or overlook impacts. And you can see the streetscape elevation on the top. That shows the 29th Street view from 29th Street, with the north house shown on the right-hand side of the screen and the proposed development on the left there. You can see it shows the height of the proposed development, and there is an existing grove of mature trees along the north edge of the site that provides landscape screening and would obscure views from that north neighbor. The other thing you can see on the bottom of the screen there, that's a north elevation drawing, and it shows that with the design, it's proposed to include limited upper story windows. There's no upper story decks on that edge of the building. As well, you can see in that the third level is stepped back to provide less building massing in the overall development. And then as part of the application, there is an incidental amendment to the official community plan, or OCP. That's typical for these types of developments, and what that would essentially do is place the site in the district's existing other multiple family sites development permit area. So that provides design guidance that then the development permit application can be evaluated against. So this slide just provides a summary of that. And generally speaking, the project meets that guidance. I won't go into that, and I can maybe save that for public hearing if council sets the date to go into that more extensively. And then in terms of other policy considerations, generally the project is being considered under the official community plan policy 2.1.4, which aims to increase missing middle housing options in the Marine Drive transit corridor. And staff have reviewed the project against these criteria and generally feel that it's consistent with them. As well, the project would be required to meet the highest step of the BC Energy Step Code, and that would meet the Sustainable Buildings Policy. And then finally, the applicant is proposing a community amenity contribution of just over $660,000, and that addresses Council's public amenity policy. The applicant did host a public information meeting, a neighborhood meeting in December of last year. Generally speaking, attendees were generally supportive of the project. There is a summary report attached from the applicant to the staff report for reference. And to conclude, staff are recommending that Council give first reading to the amendment bylaws, set the date for public hearing, which is anticipated for November 18th, as the project is consistent with relevant official community plan policy, to increase missing middle housing options within the Marine Drive transit corridor, and generally because it would provide a form of housing that would help address the missing middle in a sensitive design within the Altamont neighborhood that would potentially be available to downsizers and families within the community. And finally, the project would deliver sidewalk and boulevard improvements to enhance the public realm. So that's it for me. Happy to answer any questions. The applicant team is also available if council has questions of them.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire. That was an excellent summary, great presentation. Thank you. I'll call on Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. Should I begin with these amendments, or are there any
With
questions?
the motions,
just
sorry,
question.
Councillor Thompson.
Just one question. You said that it would provide sidewalk and boulevard improvements adjacent? Is that across 29th, or where would that be exactly?
No, around the site.
Because those have all just been improved.
Through the mayor to Councillor Thompson. So it would provide for sidewalks directly in front of the site
29th, okay.
and along with boulevard landscaping as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor Sager. I'd like to recommend that opportunities for consultation on the proposed official community plan amendment with persons, organizations, and authorities as outlined in the September 9th, 2024 report from the Senior Community Planner be endorsed as sufficient consultation for purposes of Section 475 of the Local Government Act.
Thank you. Councillor Watt?
Second that.
Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you. Councillor Lambert.
And further, that proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985 2018, amendment bylaw number 5296 2024 be read a first time.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, seconding. Discussion, question? All in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you. Councillor Lambert.
And further, that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5297 2024 be read a first time.
Thank you. Councillor Watt. Discussion? All in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you, Councillor Lambert. Sorry, it's a lot of motions to read.
Just two more. And propose that the proposed official community plan bylaw number 4985 2018, amendment bylaw number 5296 2024, and proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5297 2024 be presented at a public hearing on November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Hall Council Chamber and via electronic communication facilities, and that notice be given of the scheduled public hearing.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, seconded. Discussion, question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you. Councillor Lambert.
And finally, that proposed development permit 23-101 be presented at a public meeting scheduled for November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Hall Council Chamber and via electronic communication facilities to be held concurrently with the public hearing scheduled for November 18th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Council Chamber and via electronic communication facilities, and that notice be given of the scheduled public meeting.
Thanks very much. Seconder, Councillor Watt, discussion. I'll call a question. All in favor? Thanks very much. The motion is carried. We'll move to item number 5, the Arts and Culture Strategy Interim Update. Councillor Watt. And we have members of the committee we thank for joining us this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We're here to present the interim report to Council on the West Vancouver Arts and Culture Strategy Update. Scott Swan and Kirsten Hall from the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee are here to present the update and then are here to answer questions.
Thanks very much. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, hold on a sec. I'm trying to find it.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your time this evening. We're here to present you with the interim report on the Arts and Culture Strategy Update that the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee has been leading. I'd like to begin by giving you a brief overview of the work of the Arts and Culture Advisory Committee that has been accomplishing and the growth and development the committee has experienced over this past year. Then Kirsten will outline the process which we gathered the information from the community to assemble this interim report. I'll outline the requests we're making of Council both in policy updates and in financial resources. And Kirsten will then give you an overview of our plans going forward.
Thank you.
Initially, this committee consisted of a number of West Vancouver residents who had a strong desire to see the arts grow and flourish in this community. I've been a member of the committee for almost 6 years now, and I can tell you that the work that the group has accomplished across a broad spectrum of arenas was truly astonishing, particularly when you deal with what was going on during COVID. And to thank Dodie and the staff and Councillor Watt and Councillor Gambioli for their incredible assistance through this last year. However, in 2023, it became obvious that we needed to clarify and amplify the voices of the artists and arts organizations in the community. There were too many soloists and not enough choir, if you'll allow the analogy. We decided that we had to restructure the committee to make the necessary changes. As you know, the terms of reference was revised in 2023 and approved by Council to expand the membership of the committee to include the Kay Meek Arts Centre, the West Van Arts Council, West Van Library, and the school district. This has enabled the committee to receive input from a much broader spectrum of the community. For example, the Kay Meek has over 40,000 visitors annually, the Arts Council over 600 members and 18,000 annual visitors, and the library over 19,000 visitors from West Vancouver. As well, the school district represents all of the public schools in West Vancouver. There are also members on this committee who represent the Art Museum, the Ferry Building Gallery, the Public Art Program, and the Community Grants Program. That was the vision of the new structure of the committee, was to bring the people that were making the art of the people that were responsible for it into the committee, to hear their voice, and to be able to speak to Council with one voice from the Arts Committee. Council appointed the members of the new Arts and Cultural Committee in early 2024, so all current members, except for myself, have been on the committee for only 1 year. But the work that's gone on and the way the committee has bonded together has really been remarkable. The new committee moved quickly to update the arts and cultural strategy. And again, I'd like to thank Councillor Watt, Councillor Gambioli, and district staff for an incredible job. It's been an enormous amount of work to get to this place. And we wanted to make sure that we could submit this interim report with the emerging priorities now so that they could be integrated into the 2025 staff work plans and the budget considerations for next year. Kirsten?
Okay. As Scott mentioned, I wanted to outline our engagement process. So the Arts and Culture Committee reviewed the original 5-year Arts and Culture strategy that had been created in 2018. And we determined that there was quite a lot that is still very relevant for arts and culture development in West Vancouver. It was created with a lot of community consultation, input from arts groups, individual artists, and of course West Vancouver residents. Since 2018, a number of initiatives in the strategy have been advanced by community groups and the district, despite the pandemic in 2020. So in 2024, we decided to undergo more of a streamlined engagement process. We met with key community groups and individual artists to determine 3 things: what had been accomplished since 2018, what was still a priority for the sector, and any new priorities emerging since 2018 that would need to be considered to move forward for the next 3 to 5 years. So the committee and staff worked to develop a questionnaire, and this was sent out to 38 arts groups and 220 individual artists in the community. After that, facilitated workshops were then held in June, where we reviewed the results of the questionnaire and confirmed emerging priorities that had begun to be identified from that input. In addition, members of our committee have met with representatives of the Ambleside Dunderave Business Association, the Horseshoe Bay Business Association, to discuss opportunities with the business sector. And then we've also consulted with school district and a number of artists from the Squamish Nation.
So what arose from those discussions in the workshops and in the questionnaires come in 2 separate areas. One is priorities for policy, and the other is for monetary support. So I'm just going to go through, first of all, the policy changes that surfaced from these meetings. Most of the emerging priorities that were identified for this interim report are related to policy changes. Most of them are. with the district that can be accomplished with existing staff resources. This includes, 1, a review of zoning bylaws that could better facilitate and encourage arts facilities and activities in the community. And secondly, monitoring district funding programs such as the permissive tax exemptions policy to ensure that recipients adhere to the related policy. The community has requested a comprehensive database of suitable spaces that could be made available for workshops, rehearsals, or performances, including places of worship and district-owned facilities. And a purpose-built arts facility remains a key priority for the arts community. Once council can confirm a location, the next steps of a business plan and fundraising plan could be initiated. Again, this is a policy change, not a monetary matter at this point. It is about identifying where an art center might be able to be placed, and then we would go from there into the governance of that and the fundraising. We have had people come to us and say, I am ready to donate to this facility, but I can't do it until I know where it is. So we urge council to please find a place, a location, name it, and we will take the work on from there. Priorities that require financial resources. First, these include the installation of power in both Horseshoe Bay Park and Ambleside Park to enable community groups to easily hold outdoor events. Access to power is extremely important, as renting generators is incredibly expensive and basically prohibitive for most small community groups, let alone the fact that they're phenomenally noisy. Second, one of the key priorities that emerged from the questionnaires and workshop was the need for an umbrella arts organization in West Vancouver. We are proposing that key arts groups participate in a facilitated strategic planning session to determine a long-term plan to realize this need. This will require financial resources which are proposed to be covered by reprioritizing other projects in the Cultural Services Department. This was a major initiative by the people that we talked to, both in the workshops and through the questionnaires. And third, in addition, the arts community has identified a need to coordinate marketing efforts, as there's still an enormous gap between the arts activities that exist in this community and people knowing about them. And I am absolutely guilty of that. I went into the museum about a month and a half ago to learn some of the programs that went on that I wish my children had been part of 30 years ago. And I didn't have a way of knowing that those were going on in the building. Those programs sell out in a day. But there could be many, many more of them, reaching more children, more adults, and more seniors in the community. So this, again, this item has resources that will be required through reprioritizing of other projects. Kirsten?
So as Scott outlined, the committee decided that there were a number of priorities that had been identified in the questionnaires and in subsequent workshops that could be advanced in 2025 if they were integrated into staff work plans and approved for the modest funding support. The priorities that we are identified for council's consideration today are these emerging priorities, and these are our interim report to you. From here, our committee will meet with some of our key community partners in October and November to review these priorities and to develop a plan to work together for the next 3 to 5 years. This would include the Kay-Meek Arts Centre, the West Vancouver Community Arts Council, who are both fee-for-service partners with the district and who deliver, who deliver key services to the community on behalf of the district. And then in early 2025, the committee intends to come back to council with an updated full arts and culture strategy for consideration and approval. So the details that you see here really form the recommendation for the Arts and Culture Committee in front of council today. Just in summary, our key priorities that have been identified through consultation with the arts groups and artists in the community are this umbrella organization for the arts, the ongoing need for a purpose-built arts and culture center, and the identification of a location, There's also a number of priorities, as we've just reviewed, related to policy changes, and as well the need to increase the community's awareness of arts and culture in West Vancouver was also prioritized. Okay.
In conclusion,
That's it.
I'd like to point out something that is incredibly blatantly obvious and very simple, and yet at the same time affects the awareness, growth, and development of the arts in this community. I live in Hollyburn, and whenever I go down Marine Drive heading east, I'm either going to Abbotside Park or to Park Royal or, God forbid, across the bridge into Vancouver. I see the sports fields on my right-hand side. Tennis courts, people playing soccer, people playing field hockey, because they're part of my experience of the community as I pass through that area. It's visible to me. It's seeable and knowable to me. The arts don't always have that opportunity because they are created and experienced primarily behind closed doors. As a result, the arts are not in the daily consciousness of the people who live here. It's our opinion and the opinion of a large number of the children, adults, and seniors who reside here, who we interviewed, that if the arts were a more profound part of our daily lives, West Van would be an even better community than it is already. We see our role in the ACAC, as we've mentioned. It will be also the role of a more broadly based and inclusive arts council to weave the arts into the day-to-day fabric of our life in this community. We will do everything we can to accomplish this. We ask that you join us on the journey. Thank you. Questions?
Thank you all very much. I wish we were just a little closer to being able to, anyway, we're with you.
Okay.
And I got to leave it there. And I'm sorry, some of you also know. I think, would you be at all offended if I quoted some of the things you've just said?
No.
Good.
There'll be a slight cost, which would all go to the arts.
There we are. Councillor Gambioli.
Thank you. So that was a great presentation. Thank you. I know that, having been part of the committee, I know how much work's happened over the past year. And I did want to emphasize what you already said, but for the rest of council, I think the restructuring of the committee to bring in all of the different players to the table and amplifying how many people they represent, whether those are members or people involved in programming or youth or seniors or even people from outside West Vancouver. It is the hub now of what we're doing in arts and culture. And so, I would invite anyone else on council to come to the meetings. It's changed a lot in terms of the ability for us to get the message out when we want to spread a message or to be able to report on what each group is doing and to kind of cross-pollinate with the other groups. So I think that's really, for me, that's really exciting. So my question, though, I have a couple of questions. No, actually I have only one question, but another point to make. Section E talks about developing database of all spaces and ensure the availability of a variety of suitable indoor and outdoor art spaces. Before I forget, I can't remember if I mentioned this in our meeting, but what has happened over the years that has, I think, now come to be quite a successful moment in time is that we do have a list of all of the organizations and specifically, a lot of them are churches, actually, that have permissive tax exemptions through our system and who are then, therefore, essentially asked to support local groups by providing space for meetings and programming. So I can't remember whether we have put this on the table at our meetings, but we should remind the public and all of the arts groups that There is a list. All those organizations and churches, everyone who receives a tax exemption can be contacted and asked if they have space and if they're willing to lease it or use it, give it for free. And, that's another way of integrating the arts and making use of the space that we have. So my question is B. It says, council to confirm a location for a purpose-built arts facility. So I guess my question is, can you please enlighten us on what it means to be a purpose-built arts facility?
Well, a large process has already gone forward with consultants around building the arts center that the community feels it needs and desires. That process has already happened. So a purpose-built arts center is a place where there would be rehearsals and opportunities for people to explore. It's not necessarily a performance space per se like the Kay-Meek. It's a place for artists to come and work and hone their craft. There's very little space for that in the community. What space there is phenomenally expensive, prohibitively expensive. So this building would be a place for artists to come and work, and probably there would be classes and other things like that in that building as well. It is designed to be supportive of that kind of creativity in the community.
Before I came on council as a layperson, not that I'm not still a layperson, but the concept of a purpose-built building, I didn't understand what that meant. So my understanding of what you're saying here is a purpose-built arts facility is a building, essentially, that is built from new to purposefully be built as an arts facility.
Yes.
So in other words, it's not like a building, for example, I'm going to use the Silk Purse because it's one of the few, or the Gertrude Lawson House, which are not purpose-built arts facilities. They are people's homes that have been converted into a facility that's been used for art. So that's the difference. So I just want to be clear what the arts community is asking for. They are asking for a new building to be built for the specific purpose of housing arts, programming, performance, etc.
Absolutely.
Which requires a bunch of specific specifications. Help me here.
No, exactly. The building is designed so that, for instance, if you have an area for music, that's not next to an area where people are dancing, so that the noise doesn't cross over. It's designed carefully and specifically to house a number of arts programs at the same time so that they don't interfere with each other, and hopefully so that they can cross-pollinate and grow at some point. It is specifically designed and built from scratch to accomplish that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watt, could I ask you to put the motion, and I think it's because it's been on the screen and it's in front of us, you could just move it as read if you wish.
Yeah. Okay. But first, I just wanted to comment, and that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. And I certainly know how much work has gone into getting us here as well. And there was one other thing, before it leaves my mind. I was looking at the website for Penticton. I just thought, community a little bit smaller than ours. And on their website, they actually list all the grant sources available to people in the arts that are available at every level of government, federal, provincial, and various other things. So I think that would be really something, and I'll forward you the link. But that was just something I came across last evening. So I wanted to get that out there and mention it.
Thank you.
I think it would be very helpful. So I can just do this as read then?
Thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to recommend that the report titled Arts and Culture Strategy Interim Update from the Senior Manager of Cultural Services dated September 27, 2024 be accepted as read, as written.
Thanks very much. Is there a seconder, Councillor Gambioli? Seconded. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary carried. I sincerely hope we're back talking to you very soon.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next item, number 6, reduction of parking restrictions, can't be done. Unfortunately, Councillor Cassidy.
Unfortunately, Councillor Cassidy?
No,
Is that what you
unfortunately,
said?
no, I thought this was a nice idea, and it can't be done because of provincial regulations.
Oh, no, you went
Not-
unfortunately.
No, we are
And then my
fortunate,
name was
Councillor.
immediately after.
No, I
So,
do not
no,
mean that,
I am
Councillor.
privileged. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Recommended that the September 16th, 2024 report from the Director of Engineering and Transportation Services titled Reduction of Parking Restrictions Around Fire Hydrants be received for information.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Sorry, but can I have a seconder? Oh, Councillor,
I'll second, but I have
thank you. Okay, Councillor Gambioli, do you have a question?
I wondered if staff had a presentation or a comment on this first, or no?
Through the mayor to Councillor Gambioli, I haven't prepared a presentation, but happy to answer any questions about the report.
Thank you, Councillor Watt.
So maybe I got it wrong, but when I brought this forward several months back, it was my understanding that some other municipalities like Surrey have done it.
Through the mayor to Councillor Watt, we did follow up with Surrey. They have not amended their bylaws, but having said that, their fire department did work with SFU. There was a study published in, I think it was 2018, looking into greater detail about the sort of reduction in operational impacts and maybe the basis as to why fire hydrants were set as they were, but they have not amended their bylaws, and they are still subject to what's outlined in the Motor Vehicle Act, which of course is coming from a higher level of government. So perhaps maybe that's where some of the, where you're sort of thinking Surrey?
Yeah, I was thinking Surrey, and there were one or two others that probably were, like I was hoping, running on their coattails. But, yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose in the US, I do know that there's, they're looking at that and saying there is no logical reason at this point. It doesn't seem to impact operations. So hopefully that will one day change at a provincial level then. Okay.
Well, thank you very much for looking into it for us.
Yeah.
Very grateful. Any discussion? I'm going to call a question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much. Item number 7, pay parking exemptions. Councillor Cassidy. And fortunately, we have you here tonight
Yes.
because you are the driver of this.
I am the driver of this, and I'm very happy to be so. So in bringing this motion forward, we're only agreeing to accept a report or directing to reports. We're not personally saying that we are in agreement with exemptions and such the like. Am I correct?
Through the mayor to Councillor Cassidy, so this report is being brought forward in response to direction that staff received at Council's regular July 22nd meeting earlier this year. And so that was essentially to look into exemptions for the relatively newly introduced pay parking programming at 3 of the district's parks, and I believe that was in response to we received kind of a myriad of requests for fee waiver and exemptions from different groups. And so this report just summarizes staff had a look at the legislative framework around exemption of fees. We also had a look at what others in the region are doing in terms of pay parking and exemptions, some consideration to the sort of practical and feasible aspects of administering fee waivers to a special group or special user groups. And so I think if what I heard you say or understood you to have said is, yes, we're making a recommendation that in response to that direction and at this time for pay parking as it exists in the district, that we waive fees consistent with some other member jurisdictions in the Lower Mainland for veterans and those displaying a accessible parking decal. And then the second part of the recommendation does recognize that, there is probably some reasonableness to exemption of a fee in certain circumstances. So, for example, if we have volunteers coming to one of these parks on a particular day, the idea of recommending a policy that staff would report back on would be to sort of outline the circumstance under which we might waive a fee in those special circumstances, and it will likely also recommend that the sort of delegation be given to senior staff to make those decisions based on the policy framework, so we're not coming to council every time there's those sorts of requests. So
Right.
that's the sort of essence of an approach to the report and recommendations this evening.
All right. For example, should somebody from the Lighthouse Preservation Society have volunteers who are going in for weed pulling, they could apply for such a permit?
Precisely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. All that being said, because I just wanted clarity on that. So it is recommended the September 14th, 2024 report from the Director of Engineering and Transportation Services and the Deputy Municipal Manager, Director of Parks, Culture and Community Services, titled Pay Parking Exemptions, be received for information. Number 2, staff report back to council on a permit policy that is time limited, defines the circumstances and class or group of persons eligible, and which delegates the authority of staff to waive parking fees under the policy. And 3, council directs staff to update fees and charges as bylaw number 5251, 2023, to include a waiver of pay parking fees for those vehicles with a Veterans or Memorial Cross license plate and vehicles which display a valid, accessible parking placard.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Snyder. Second. Any discussion? Oh, Councillor Cassidy.
I have one more question. What is a valid, accessible parking placard?
Oh, that's the...
That's what we just referred to as that. All right. Okay. It's nothing to do with anything to do with wheelchairs or such the like. Just being clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. On any further discussion, I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary carried. There are no bylaws this evening. We have the consent agenda items. Councillor Gambioli.
Right, so I'll recommend that the consent agenda items as written be approved.
Thank you. Councillor Cassidy. Thank you. Any discussion? I'll call a question. All in favor? Contrary carried. And that takes us now to reports from Mayor and Council. And I would just like to first thank everyone involved for an incredibly successful pickleball opening day. Incredible turnout. Thank you, Ms. Kettler, and all of your park staff for a superb job. I would also like to say that members of council, I think all except one who was just unable to attend, we very much enjoyed last Friday joining the Tsleil-Waututh Nation at their Truth and Reconciliation lunch. We were honored to be invited. I was very glad to see that we had the largest turnout of any of the councils on the North Shore. And over to you, Councillor Watt, for a report from you.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the fabulous Enhance West Van board for putting on, and of course, Parks, and for putting on Pumpkin Fest this past weekend, Sunday. I spent 5 hours in the petting zoo, and it was so wonderful to see. I don't know what the numbers were on attendance yet, but it was such a job well done by staff and Enhance. I suspect we probably at least matched or topped prior years. Do you have any comments, Ms. Kettler?
I have not heard, just that it was, again, as you said, a fabulous day and really busy.
It was tremendously busy, lots of lineups, but there were none of the, I think last year it was a little more chaotic with the lineups, so it was just so well put together. And thank you to everybody who was involved and all the volunteers that came out as well.
It really was a great day, and it's remarkable how the weather holds. It seems to year after year be fabulous. Now,
I just love the bunny rabbits.
sorry, Councillor Cassidy, I guess you're up. Nope, Councillor Gambioli, please.
Okay. Thank you. So, I just wanted to add that on the 27th of September, as you said, we were invited by the Tsleil-Waututh Nation for a luncheon and event, and I don't recall we've ever been invited before. So that was a great experience to witness their stories from their nation and their experiences, and I think that we all learned something. And we had elk soup and halibut and salmon, etc. So anyways, so I think that I would like to propose that we invite them to our district and host them for a meeting or a meal. I'd like to put that out there for reciprocation in the near future.
Very nice idea. I think would be very appropriate. And again, I was very pleased with our turnout. I did go last year, and I was glad this year they invited all of the council. A very nice day. Councillor Cassidy.
Well, as a follow-up to that, as we all occupy the same lands here on the North Shore, the district and the city of North Vancouver were also invited. So it really was a lovely communal event. And as anyone who is hosted to a party, it is our job now to reciprocate their generosity and their kindness, and I really look forward to it. That's how we all become friends at the end of the day, is by breaking bread together. So on that one, it was excellent. So I didn't attend this next event, but I love to give a shout out to volunteers, for people who do give their time. And on Saturday, I was not able to be there, but there was an ivy pulling in Lighthouse Park. So they did apparently an excellent job, and the Parks Department were there to pick up all that ivy that these fellows and women hauled out. And they did have that little permissible parking permit, so they could park in Lighthouse Park while they were doing the duration of the work. And also on Saturday evening, Councillor Lambert, together with his wife and a very good group of people, we were at the Soroptimist dinner at the West Vancouver Yacht Club. And for those who don't know, the Soroptimists are a group of women, a female-led organization whose sole purpose is to raise funds for the education of women who need that extra boost in life to get to the next step. And as I said, the only way we're going to get ourselves in life from A to B financially is with education. So they do just an amazing job, and it had a wonderful turnout. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. And I was very disappointed that I was conflicted and unable to attend the opening of the Paul Sugar Foundation home. Could someone give a community update on that, please?
I'm trying to think how long, that was a week ago. So Dr. Sugar, Paul Sugar, has now opened in the Caulfield area a palliative support care center, and they had their opening, grand opening, I guess it was a week ago.
Tuesday.
Was it?
Was it last Tuesday?
It was on a weekend.
Exactly.
No.
It was a Monday. It was exactly.
Oh, it was a holiday. It was holiday Monday, they had the opening. But it was extremely well attended, and it was interesting talking to many of the people there who had received support through the Paul Sugar Foundation at their North Vancouver location. So it's just such a much needed support service for our community here. And then it's in a family neighborhood, and it seems that they've got excellent support from the neighbors, and it's such a serene, peaceful setting with various services, counseling, and other treatments that they provide there. So that was just heartwarming to see, and commendable citizen to have devoted so many of the past years of his life in helping families, either as a loved one moves on or individuals as they move on.
Thank you, Councillor Watt. Yes, Dr. Sugar is a remarkable member of this community, and I did hear, and I just asked through our municipal manager, I did hear at the opening that our staff were given kudos for really helping to expedite this through the process.
Yeah, he was extremely pleased at the support he's received.
Yeah, so I just asked
Exceptionally.
the thanks be expressed to all of our staff who were involved in helping to make this a reality.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was just going to add, it's a place none of us ever want to have to go, but knowing it is there, and especially with his guiding hand, it's fantastic.
Thank you. Councillor Snyder, could I ask you for a motion to receive the reports, please?
You can. I'd like to recommend that the oral reports from mayor and councillors be received for information.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert? Question, all in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you. Are there any members of the public who have any questions or comments this evening? And hearing none, I'll ask Councillor Gambioli for a motion to adjourn.
Right, well, I will recommend that this October 7th, 2024 regular council meeting be adjourned.
Thank you. Councillor Watt. Discussion, all in favor? Contrary carried. I hope everyone has a really wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll look forward to seeing everyone on October 21st, and it will be a very busy night on October 21st. See you then. Happy Thanksgiving.